Hello guys, my name is Dr. Karmatsky. It often happens that a person is not fat or even slender and his stomach looks as much as 5 months pregnant. And no matter how often do you work out in the gym or follow a keto diet, this volume wouldn't go away from your belly because it's not fat, it's gas in intestines. Gas that accumulates mainly in the small intestine. This process is called bloating. It's not aesthetic, a bulging belly. This is not comfortable, you have to let or hold back, depending on the circumstances. Mulligrubs, pain, cramps, nausea, colic, murmuring, gurgling and rumbling. The intestine swollen with gases presses in all directions and leads to unpleasant consequences and causes a bunch of symptoms. People suffer for years, take pills, but it doesn't get any easier. The accumulated gases can be odorless, it's carbon dioxide, and can be very smelly. These are poisonous toxic gases, methane, hydrogen sulfide, indole, skatol, mercaptan and others. These toxic gases formed in the intestines as a result of rotting and fermentation slowly poison the person from the inside and making his life and the lives of others just awful. Imagine poisonous gas inside the abdomen 24 hours a day for many years, sometimes for all of your life. This will first reduce the duration of life and secondly it will deprive a person of strength. There will be weakness, apathy, bad mood, headache, nausea, skin, hair, nails, everything will suffer little by little. You already know how important the intestines are in human life. Our purpose is to understand how gas is formed in the intestines, what are the reasons, what causes it all, and what can be done independently all by yourself.
Cause and effect.
I will share with you a life experience from my practice and talk about things that help people who come to me for help. So, the first common cause is a weak and poor outflow of bile. Bile activates pancreatic and intestinal enzymes, which means that if bile is poorly secreted, then enzymes don't work well and food is not digested efficiently enough. Therefore, the additional intake of enzymes in the tablet forms is ineffective because it's not the pancreatic enzymes that are missing, but the bile that activates them, and it's just not enough of bile. The second point is that the bile activates intestinal motility, which means that if there is lack of bile, the intestines move slowly, peristalsis is slower than it should be, food is delayed, begins to ferment, rot, and gases form. The next reason is individual food intolerance. Everyone has different genetics, grew up in different conditions with different diets. Everyone has an individual composition of microflora in the gut. So, some people digest everything well and others do not. Most people don't digest very well and react with bloating to the following categories of products. Dairy products and fermented milk products too. This is usually due to partial lactose intolerance. If there is a bloat, I recommend removing all the milk and sour milk from the diet, leaving only butter or ghee and fats or cream. The next category of products that people often don't tolerate is flour products. Everything that contains flour, gluten, yeast and rye too, and whole grains and even homemade bread. As practice shows, all this often gives gas formation, so it's desirable to temporarily remove everything. And finally, everything that contains sugar and fructose, that is, all sorts of desserts, sweets, fruits and dried fruits. If there is a gas formation, I recommend to remove all of the above categories of products from the diet. Get rid of gas formation and then you can gradually add the desired products into the diet one by one and track whether a particular product causes bloating or not. I want to highlight separately and especially emphasize that it's often poorly digested and gives gases. Cabbage, apples, grapes, cherries, legumes, beans, peas, lentils, oatmeal and muesli, especially with dried fruits and nuts. Guys, we're talking about an individual intolerance. Someone tolerates and someone doesn't. Not everyone, but most of them do. So, while we don't know exactly what is the reason, it's better to remove all products from the list and then add them slowly and see what the reaction will be. The next reason is improper product compatibility. Depending on the chemical composition, different types of food pass through the stomach at different speeds. For example, fruit in the stomach quickly sleep in the intestines, and the meat can be processed in the stomach for up to several hours. When bloating, I recommend to follow the rule: don't eat fruit and sweets after a meal. It's better to have them before eating on an empty stomach. Otherwise, all this falls into the stomach on top of the main food, mix with it, and begins to ferment right in the stomach. The same applies to juices, soft drinks, and other sugar-containing drinks and beverages. And don't scold the child if he first pulls his hands to eat candies or fruits and then already has lunch. He does it intuitively. The next reason is aerophagia. That is the ingestion of air with food. It mostly happens to small children, but it also happens to adults if they eat very quickly. I recommend to eat slowly, to chew food and don't swallow chunks, even if it's quick street snack or 1 hour of lunch time in office. You just need to remember this and slow yourself down. The next cause of bloating is stress and so-called indigestible situation. If a stressful situation occurs in a person's life, which can be called unpleasant and undigestible, then the intestines will inflate and swell to help the person push this situation through himself and bring it out figuratively. How this works, and not only with the gut, we will discuss in detail in the following videos. It happens that this is generally the main reason for bloating when we have already decided and corrected everything else, but bloating doesn't go away. Or, for example, a person at home has bloating although he absorbs everything, and on vacation he eats and drinks everything and doesn't bloat. This is due to the fact that an indigestible situation is active at home, and on vacation a person relaxes, doesn't see this trouble, and the intestines calm down. But if on vacation someone from work or someone whom he doesn't digest, boss or mother for example, calls him on the phone every day, then at home there will be bloating, and on vacation as well. Where is the way out? To resolve an indigestible situation or get away from it, or stop trying to digest it. That is, if possible, include a reasonable indifference. The next favorite for all the reasons, the parasites. How convenient is to blame parasites for all problems. Swollen belly, parasites. Pimples on the skin, parasites. Weakness and headache, parasites. Evacuated the car, parasites. It's much easier than to monitor the diet, work on yourself to avoid getting into trouble or not reacting to them.
You're goddamn right.
However, it's true that sometimes parasites can cause bloating. They can both irritate the intestines and interfere with normal digestion of food, and irritate the bile ducts and prevent the normal outflow of bile, which in turn causes bloating. Antiparasitic schemes can be chemical or herbal. Most viewers favor a natural approach, therefore here is one example of a plant scheme. Or you can take ready-made antiparasitic complexes if you trust the manufacturer. The next reason are adhesions. If the intestines stick to each other or to the surrounding tissues and structures, it's more difficult for them to move. Because of this, peristalsis slows down and fermentation and decay, rotting process can begin. To help the intestines free or to prevent the formation of adhesions, a simple exercise is perfect. Reverse pose once a day at the wall and any other physical activity, especially tilts, turns and vibration. there are also special visceral self-massage techniques to eliminate adhesions. I will show them in next videos. The next cause of bloating is too much raw plant food in the diet. Excess fiber, especially raw, often leads to the fact that bacteria don't have time to process it and it begins to ferment with the formation of gases. What can be done? All vegetables are heat-treated, stew, grill, fry, bake in the oven and minimize or temporarily remove all fresh fruits until everything normalizes. Don't worry, there will be no vitamin deficiency. In 2 weeks you can consume vitamins in the form of dietary supplements, as I do. Anyway, vegetables and fruits from the store grown on the mother soils don't contain much vitamins. Well, it's not a secret to anyone that the harvest is handled by chemicals 20 times a season. And heat treatment, cooking and stewing with an open lid allows you to partially get rid of nitrates. The next reason is too much meat and protein in the diet. I can say this even from personal experience. Once I ate meat 3 times a day and plus 2 servings of whey protein. Since almost all trainers claim that for muscle growth you need 2 or 3 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day. The intestines reacted badly. There was no time to process so much meat and naturally the processes of decay began. I started reducing the number, removed the whey protein completely. The growth and strength of the muscles did not change at all. I began to reduce the meat and again the muscles did not get worse. As a result, I can skip meat meal during the day, I can eat protein 1 time a day and everything is fine with the muscles and the intestines are in perfect order. I concluded that a healthy body in normal state doesn't need so much protein. And muscle growth, for example, is much more effective by the extra hour of sleep and going to bed before 12 p.m. I noticed the same thing about my clients and now I can recommend it to you. If you have bloating and you eat meat 3 times per day, try replacing it with something. Fish, seafood, eggs, cereals, generally experiment and see if there will be any effect. The next reason is dysbacteriosis. It happens that bacteria die due to antibiotics or they lack nutrients and therefore the balance between different types of bacteria has changed. I favor a natural approach, so I recommend feeding bacteria medium-sized boiled beets as a side dish for 2 weeks, stewed vegetables, products containing inulin, boiled rice and chilled boiled potatoes. The next reason is too large meal portion. As it usually happens, we overslept breakfast, skipped lunch and dinner is breakfast, lunch and dinner 3 in 1. The more food you eat, the more digestive juices, enzymes and bacteria are needed for its full digestion and assimilation. For example, a regular serving of food is digested well, but a double portion already causes bloating. Try not to overeat. Limit the amount you eat to about 2 palms. Regardless of the reason, I recommend a teaspoon of dill seeds every meal for 2 weeks. And if we are talking about a child who can choke, then dill water is suitable. Cloves, chew 1-2 sticks with your food for 2 weeks. Separate food when bloating. I recommend to eat cereals and carbohydrates separately and meat and vegetables separately as well. I tried it myself. I can say that everything is really digested much faster and more efficiently. But it makes you hungry faster and you end up eating more food in a day. Simplify your diet. The fewer components in your food, the easier it is to track what exactly gives bloating and faster enzymes to digest the food. Healthy full sleep. It affects all organs and systems. For the most effective work of the gastrointestinal tract, I recommend going to bed no later than 12 p.m. The same thing before going to bed. If there is no hunger, then don't load the digestive tract at night. If you don't have problems with weight gain, then when bloating, I recommend eating only when there is a strong feeling of hunger. If you wake up in the morning on the alarm clock and not hungry yet, it's better not to eat, but to wait until you do. Physical activity. The more movements in the pelvis, abdomen, chest, bends, turns and twists you make, the more active the bile is released and the better the intestinal peristalsis will be. Drinking water, half a glass, 30 minutes before meal, helps the stomach to digest. Massage or self-massage of the abdomen with an emphasis on the intestines, placing vacuum cups on the stomach, around the navel and on the liver. I will show these techniques in more detail in the following videos. As a rule, for most of my visitors, I see several reasons at once, so I recommend that you take this list and immediately do and change everything you can. Often we get an instant result, but if the gas has been accumulating for decades, it's clear that it may take some time until the body adapts to a new reality. It's just a matter of patience and self-discipline. You can always find and eliminate the cause.
Everything begins with choice.
Don't worry, follow the plan and everything will work out for you perfectly. Write in the comments your observation about what can increase bloating. This is sure to be useful to someone. Please don't forget to show your support by giving this video a like, subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification for a channel as well, as all this would help me a lot and I appreciate it. See you next time.